So what are the best lenses for Canon mirrorless cameras? We've been using the M100, the M6, and now the Canon M50. So in this video, I'm gonna be covering my favorite lenses for every budget, plus some cool accessories coming up. Hey, what's up? Sean here with Think Media, bringing you the best tips and tools for building your influence with online video. And on this channel, we do a lot of tips and strategy videos, as well as tech gear reviews, just like this one. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. And hey, at any point during the video, check out show notes and links in the YouTube description below. I'll list out all of the lenses we talk about, plus a few other accessories that I think are essential. So check those out at any time. Let's jump into the video. So it's been cool to see lately how Canon has been building up their mirrorless camera line, especially with the release of the Canon M50. Now, this has been one of our favorite cameras here at Think Media because it's small, it's portable, it produces great photos, shoots great videos. But one of the downsides to Canon's mirrorless line is lens selection. Now, there have been rumors about them adding more lenses, and I think that we could definitely expect that, especially with not just the popularity of the Canon M line, but also mirrorless cameras overall. Every brand is really embracing the mirrorless technology. So at this time, what are some of the best lenses? Well, the first one for me is the Canon kit lens that comes with the camera. Now there's actually two options. There's an 18 to 55. For me, I prefer the 15 to 45. The reason is it's a little bit wider. So as a YouTube creator, as someone who wants to be potentially using the camera in selfie mode, if you're gonna go with one of the kit lenses, I would definitely go with the 15 to 45. Now, this is oftentimes included with the camera. In fact, at the time of shooting this video, you could pick up the Canon M with the kit lens for right around $699. Now the body is, I think, right around $609, so the lens is coming in for about $75. That usually retails for $300, but I would say if you ever wanted to pick up a 15 to 45, you can probably find it used in the Amazon section for right around $100 because it's probably been removed from a kit. And sometimes people like to put down kit lenses, but the photos we've taken with it, the video clips, they look great. I think the weakness is the aperture. You know, it starts at 3.5, which is not too bad, but once you zoom in all the way, it's at 6.3. That's getting pretty dark. The pro of this lens, though, is that it's IS and STM. So that means it has image stabilization built into the lens. And STM is a stepper motor that really pairs well with the dual pixel autofocus for smooth focusing. And so if you just throw the kit lens on the camera, whether you want to shoot some YouTube videos, decent for photography, it's a great lens to get started with. And if you don't have that for your kit yet, consider buying one that's just like open box, refurbished, or something like that, because they're pretty affordable. The second Canon lens that I absolutely love is the 22mm f2. Now, this is a pancake lens, so it's very small. It's a prime lens, so it doesn't have any zoom to it. And it's the fastest lens that Canon offers natively for their mirrorless cameras. So the 22mm focal length is really a great focal length. It's almost kind of a portrait lens, if you will. And f2 means that you're gonna get the most blurry depth of field, blurry background out of any of the other lens options directly from Canon. It also has STM, so it has that stepper motor for autofocus, and it comes in at right around $230 here in the US. So I think that this is a great lens because it's phenomenal for shooting YouTube videos. You could just sit down, you know, do face tracking and know that you're gonna get that tack sharp autofocus while also having a really nice blurry background and a great focal length for really not any distortion. And it's just a great all-around lens. And it's also the lens I would prefer for shooting photos. And so on a recent Canada trip, we were using this lens to do photo shoots for video influencers. I was hanging out with Benji and Chris and Gabby, and just throwing this on the Canon camera, leaving a lot of the settings on auto, even just doing the touch shutter or just snapping photos. The picture quality is pretty amazing, but from these examples, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What do you think about the photo quality? Personally, I'm impressed. Next is the Canon EF-M 11 to 22. Now this is the ideal lens for vloggers because this is super wide if you want to have that kind of, Casey Neistat look, this would be the lens to pick up. Now, it comes in for $350 here in the US. And with any of these, I think that you could always be shopping, eBay, Amazon, used section, B&H, refurbished, and we'll put links to some of those options in the description below. But I love this lens, and this would be my favorite walk-around lens, again, for vlogging. You get such a wide shot. You could still zoom into 22, which is nice, and probably the only downside of this lens is that it starts at f4. It goes from f4 to f5.6. So as far as low light goes, you're a little bit hurt there. Now, one advantage though to consider, and I think about this stuff a lot, is that something like a G7X starts at 1.8 on the aperture, which is nice. So it's really good in low light as a point and shoot camera, but it also has a smaller sensor than say like a Canon EF-M with a full APS-C sensor. And so what we've noticed is that sometimes, a wide lens like this is not going to do very great at nighttime, but in lower light situations, like not pitch black, the sensor itself and the performance of just the ISO and the newest processor on, say, like the M50 really pairs with this lens really well. Again, it has the IS, the image stabilization, and it also has the STM motor for autofocusing. And so the combination of those two things make this paired up with the M50 pretty ideal, especially for vloggers. If you weren't vlogging, this might be a lens that you can pass on. Okay, now my fourth recommendation is actually the adapter. This is the Canon EF-M adapter, and what it does is it allows you to take lenses meant for normal Canon DSLRs and mount them to your mirrorless camera. And so this thing retails for around $200 here in the US, but I've noticed that again, you can find this oftentimes for around $100. Now I recommend you get the Canon version of this adapter, but you also could check out, I think there's a Fotodiox version that's even cheaper. It's around $30 to $40. I haven't tested it, but it has really great reviews on Amazon. So if you want to save some money and be able to adapt the EF lenses to your EF-M mounting system, this is a great solution. And so if you were to pick this up for about $100, if you could find it online, then the next lens I'd recommend is the Nifty 50. It's the famous Canon lens that comes in for $125, 50 millimeters at 1.8. So if you grab those two together, you might be able for about $225 to put one of the most killer setups on your Canon mirrorless camera setup. And so what you would ultimately have here is really a portrait lens now. Because there's a crop factor on the camera, it's 1.6 on top of the 50 millimeter, making this kind of more like an 80 millimeter lens. And if that didn't make sense, I'll do a link on the card kind of explaining different focal lengths and how lenses distort things and whatnot. So check out that video. But ultimately what you're getting is what I would use this for is B-roll, low light, and definitely portraits and photography. What I've been able to shoot with this 50 millimeter and the converter on the mirrorless line is just beautiful. f1.8, very good for low light. So it's a great thing to put into your kit. And what's nice about that is once you get that adapter, you could always possibly activate older lenses that you have. If you already have some Canon lenses, you could possibly invest in new lenses that you want to use for your mirrorless camera. But I'd also say you could borrow lenses, meaning besides renting them, a lot of times when I go to events or I'm hanging out with friends, a lot of people shoot Canon. So if you just want to get a few shots and you have the adapter, if you're ever around any Canon EF lenses, you can make them work with your mirrorless setup. And so definitely something that I think that most people shooting mirrorless should have in their kit, because you never know when you're going to need it, and you potentially might want to combo up the 50 millimeter plus this adapter, because the two together could be very affordable and produce some awesome results. Okay, so I have one more lens to share with you, but I actually want to touch on one of my favorite accessories that I love to travel with my Canon M setup, and that is a variable ND filter from ProMaster. Now, we actually did a video about what these are, so I'll link that up on the YouTube card, but an ND filter is basically like sunglasses for your camera. So let's say we wanted to go shoot some video outdoors in the sunlight with the Canon 22mm f2, and we wanted the aperture to be at f2, so it's really crispy and there's that nice blurry background. Well, the problem is, if we're shooting in 30 frames a second, then that means our shutter needs to be at 60. Therefore, there's gonna be too much light, period. We're gonna put the ISO as low as it goes. You know, the aperture is wide open. That is a ton of light. So what do? Well, you put sunglasses on your lens. You put an ND filter on. And so I got a 52mm ND filter, and then I have a couple stepper rings so that it'll work with the lenses that I travel with. And so the Canon EF-M 22mm, it says that it takes 43mm threads. So I take my 43mm adapter here, I can screw that on, and that will allow this ND filter to fit right on the end of this lens. And now I'm good to shoot and get that really, really crispy, blurry background while having that ND filter on there. Now I also have a 49-52, so I can put it on the kit lens, or I can put it on this 50mm, which has a 49mm thread. So I can use this one ND filter for any of the Canon EF-M lenses that I'm traveling with. So if you plan on shooting video outside, definitely think about investing in a variable ND filter for your lenses. And we'll put information in the description. All right, now I mentioned one additional lens I wanted to cover, and that is a lens from Rokinon, which is the only brand at this time that is making kind of third-party Canon EF-M lenses. And these are kind of unique, and they're definitely not for everybody. But this particular lens is 12mm, so it's super wide, but it has an f2 aperture. So if you wanted a really wide shot, right, you could get the wide angle lens, which is 11-22, but it starts at f4. So at 12mm f2, this definitely brings something unique to the lens options. However, the thing with these Rokinon lenses is they do not have autofocus. So they're really meant more for filmmakers, photographers who are probably doing kind of staged shoots, meaning you're really controlling your content and you want an artistic edge. You need a lens that'll work really, really well in low light. However, for run and gun, for just, you know, basic YouTube use, not having autofocus could be a deal breaker. But I just wanted to mention this lens, and actually Rokinon has 9 different EF-M lenses that all would fit on your Canon mirrorless camera that are geared towards filmmakers and creatives that want odd focal lengths with really fast apertures, and maybe you even want to do some filmmaking with your Canon EF-M camera. Definitely check those out. And if you actually want to check out a video about that Rokinon lens, as well as see some example photos and footage, we'll link that up on the YouTube card. And also, if you want to see other videos in our Canon Mirrorless series, we have a whole playlist about that, so I'll link that up as well. Question of the day. What is the main camera that you are shooting with lately, and what is your favorite lens for it? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for checking out this video. Subscribe and ring the bell if you haven't yet. And if you want to check out other videos in our Canon Mirrorless series, click or tap the screen right there. For another video from Think Media, click or tap the screen right there. Until next time, this channel is all about bringing you the best tips and tools for building your influence with online video. Keep crushing it, and we will talk soon.